Why did you stop talking to a family member? One of my uncles came up to me when I was 15, put his arm around me, and told me I was developing nicely. He's always been a prick. He's a bully and a jerk, purposely hurts and screws people over. Lies constantly. I was just getting old enough to realize what a colossal prick he was. And when he pulled that, yeah, that was the end of it. I said, that was inappropriate, and he got offended and told me it wasn't and I was being too sensitive. I walked away from that and have never spoken to him since. If I see him at family gatherings and he tries to talk to me, I just stare at him and refuse to respond. I wouldn't talk to that man again if he was being murdered, and the only way to stop it was to acknowledge his existence. The world will be a better place when he's gone. I had a serious 5-year relationship. We discussed marriage. Family sabotaged us and spread all kinds of lies just because grandma's, my adoptive mom, Alzheimer's got her making up all kinds, but everyone believed her for some stupid reason. I needed to intervene to prevent the gossip from spreading to X's mom, she's a family friend, and argue endlessly with like 12 relatives, and whole family was attacking me and not listening to my side of the story. I got fed up and told them to sort out the caca storm among themselves. They started it so they could finish it. Meanwhile, F off, I'm done, I'm out. I left. I demanded an apology to me and my ex, but only one family member was sane enough to comply. I still talk to only my aunt to this day. And she did need to apologize twice because her first apology was ducking horrible. It was like sorry that happened, but X is just a snake and those were her true colors. TF kind of apology is that? Just made me more mad. I needed to get counseling for months and had nightmares at least weekly. My ex is a family girl and my family said some inexcusable stuff. Damage is done, we will never work out. I hope she's happier than me. I'm happily with someone else now, but there's definitely always going to be a space in my heart for my ex, which is kinda scary. I still think about her every day. It's just one of those things you know will never go away. My current so is great, but just not as great of a fit as my ex. Of course, I still care for her and don't mean this in a complaining type of way, it's just how things are. I will propose to my son next year. I'm adopted because my parents sold me as a kid due to their inability to provide for me. My dad's still part of the family and my grandma adopted me. My dad was a gang boss who never really followed the family, either. He was never in my life, but since he is easily the roughest around the edges but most intelligent fellow in the family, I thought maybe he'd understand me as the family black sheep. Nope. He never contributed a cent to my care but had the nerve to try to tell me what to do, side with everyone else even though his pastimes included threatening his own brothers, my uncles, for money, and he threatened me because I wasn't going along with the family's wishes. So I completely disowned him right then and there. Before this incident, I never disobeyed and always went along. Traditional Asian family dynamics. Suddenly, I was fighting everyone. I felt crazy at times being the only person with a strong differing view, the only person not riding this wave. The counseling helped me feel sane and helped solidify my belief that I was totally right to be upset and to not tolerate this treatment. If I didn't put my foot down, this could easily happen to all my partners after my ex, maybe even mess up my marriage if I get into one. All for what? Some rumors and family dynamics and their refusal to respect my adult decisions? Get real. So I had to fight them. One of the harder parts was not talking to my grandma since she raised me since I was 6 months old and is my only parent figure. But she and my aunt's husband started all of this, and pretending everything is normal without them addressing the elephant in the room will just communicate that I am letting myself be subservient to them again, which is unacceptable. The ball has been in their court for almost 3 years. If they won't even pass it back by so simply and sincerely saying sorry, I am not sure it's worth my time remaining in that toxic of an environment. Maybe the family will see me as an ungrateful betrayer or something, which hurts, but I didn't start this. I have a bigger stake in this matter than them, and I was not the one being unreasonable. And if all they can do to cope with their inability to apologize is by circulating more one-sided stories depicting me as the villain, I can't do anything about that, so I won't bother. They're just digging themselves a deeper hole. In the meantime, I feel more free and more happy than I am being around my family despite the hole in my chest and the ongoing nightmares. It's good not having to answer to them or get their approval, and short of physically doing something to me, they can't control me anymore no matter what they say. Well, my mother screwed me out of about $3,000. To make a long story short, I needed a place to live and she was moving but couldn't sell the house in its current condition. I and my brother split the house. He got upstairs and I got downstairs, which was overall pretty convenient because it was pretty cheap as we were splitting a mortgage between 4 people basically, as we both had SOs that were living with us. She still wanted to actually pay the bills because they were still in her name. It was whatever because the bills still came to the house, so we could always see the amounts needed to be paid. We would transfer her money so she could pay the bills. Well, after a few months she couldn't handle paying the bills for 2 houses, couldn't actually deal with going online and paying them for some reason. She gave us the login info to pay stuff online and we switched to just our rent money being transferred. Her little breakdown happened in either Oct or Nov and things were peachy until March when the power company shut off the power to the downstairs. Called them and asked what was going on. Turns out there was about $600 owed to the power company, some of it from before my mom moved out. Well, pay that off and be mad, but thankful our power was only shut off for a few minutes. Hey wait, if the power was behind, what about the other bills? Gas bill was also around $600 behind as well, so in order to still be able to have hot water we paid it. Now we were beyond mad and really looked at the online accounts and found out exactly how much she was paying each month. Sometimes it was less than $1 a month, but just for me, my younger brother, she paid almost $21 whole dollars. I haven't willingly talked to my mother in 2, maybe 3 years. That ducking kitty needs to hand me a few grand and to kiss my booty because that bee just lost a son. Because they were not healthy for me to be around. I will still always have love for them, but I will not spend time around them if I can help it. They trigger me to feel bad about myself, and I dislike the person I feel myself become around them. I can relate. Gotta love the guilt trips they give because you're trying to better yourself and keep a healthy distance. Because my sister blames me for all of her problems. I'm sorry I can't make her happy. In my household growing up, I was the scapegoat. It took me a lifetime to realize this, but she internalized that and assumed my dad's behavior of blaming me. I spent a year straight desperately trying to make her happy, and it never worked. It all came to a boil when we had a 3-hour conversation and I apologized again and again for the things I had done wrong in our relationship. All I needed was a tiny modicum of an apology from her. I just wanted her to say sorry for something, anything at all. Just acknowledge that she has done some very hurtful things. I brought up multiple times she had flown off the handle and did hurtful things to me. All I got was, "I'm sorry your feelings were hurt." F that noise. I didn't talk to her for a year. I tried reaching out to her again recently with a tentative short email. I got back a 4-page email of pure anger and hatred. In it she said directly, "I reject your narrative of the last 3 years since I moved back to the state. The breakdown in our relationship was entirely your fault." Okay, guess that's not going to work. I shouldn't be surprised as I've watched her systematically cut ties with almost everyone she's ever known, and then wonders why she has 0 real-life friends. Oh well. I officially cut off ties with my family when I found out my Grammy passed through my cousin's post on Facebook. Then her mother couldn't get a hold of mine, so posted on her Facebook wall, "Well, Mom passed." Didn't try to get a hold of me at all, being my mom's only child. And wanted to allow my mother to find out her mother passed on freaking Facebook, and got ticked when I called them out on it. Straw that broke this camel's back. Cut off 2 aunts, 2 uncles, and a multitude of their offspring. My dad I cut ties with last year after he beat the caw-caw out of me when he went off his medications. I ended up with a stitched lip, fractured jaw and a whole load of internal bruising. I was hands down done with the 27 plus years of verbal and physical abuse from him that everyone always excused as being his mental disorders. I have many of the same disorders. I do not under any circumstances hurt my children out of anger, or for any other reason. The disorder excuse only goes so far, and I know most of the time he's entirely aware of what he is doing but likes to play it off as if he doesn't. Cut ties with my mill when she randomly out of nowhere messaged my husband and was saying I was a sala and bore, I should go live with the red man, my kids should go live with the red man, I was only with him for the money, I only had his baby for the child support. My children were not her grandchildren, 3 were step-grandkids, 1 biological, a few more go live with the devil repeats, few more bore repeats. Out of the literal blue. We thought she liked me, and she had sent the kids Christmas gifts for the previous 2 years, but she is a raging alcoholic and my husband was beyond done with her crazy. I have a lot of not kind relatives now that I think about it. Oh, you mean my mom? I can't tell her any information because as soon as I go to bed she talks with my grandma in a hushed voice about me. Why do you have to hush your voice and make it sound like I've done caw-caw? Like WTF dude, it pees me off. Currently not sleeping because of this. Why do you need to whisper? Like talking about anyone else or anything else, their voices are normal. Why couldn't you just discuss it with me? It really ducks with me. I'm peed. Nosy. Toxic and we just don't talk in general so. No joke, once at a family dinner as I was going to enter high school my second aunt was adamant that I would be going to the top high school in my city just like her daughter and my older brother. But the thing was I didn't even bother to apply for the school even though my grades qualified me. I understood that school wasn't for me. After witnessing how my brother was handling the workload I knew I would for sure crumble and not do well in that school setting. I wanted to go to my dream high school and my parents were perfectly fine with that. Now that I'm going to college I don't even want to tell them where I'm going. I'm going to a good school but the campus is fairly new so it's not as popular as the other schools I applied to. Never really had a connection with my father. My mother however is a manipulative drug addict with munchosis by proxy. It took me years to realize what happened in my life and what I repressed. My final straw was her screaming at my 1-year-old that he was a piece of caw-caw and a terrible child. Then her admitting my recollection of being smothered by couch pillows till I passed out when I was 3 to 5 was real. She tried to end me because I deserved it. Oh, she also sold me for drugs when I was a toddler. I hope she drowns in her own caw-caw and wah-wah-a-a-a-wah-wah-a-a-a-a-a. I stopped talking to my mom when I was in high school because she tried to end me. We're on speaking terms now, but I still don't forgive her for the mental problems she's created as a result of that incident and an abusive upbringing. I talk to my dad off and on, but only because he's uber religious and thinks I should either be in the military or college in order to live a successful life. Those two mindsets really prevent me from wanting to talk to him consistently. I stopped talking to them because I was mentally unstable and wanted to end myself because of them. I hated their toxicity and they didn't understand that and I had to stop talking to them for my own sake. After about a year we started to slowly talk, especially since I had siblings 10 plus years younger than me that wanted to see me. I had to see them too. Our relationship is finally better now but it definitely took time. Working on the kinks but I have finally accepted that they can never change unless they choose to. Mother is still a Jehovah's Witness and I am not, therefore we cannot have any contact. We had a huge fallout because I questioned the religion/cult and she chose it over freedom and a true loving relationship with a non-believer and myself. Her words. Father was a physically abusive alcoholic who harbored gay tendencies which, as an elder of the JW organization, is a no-no which fueled his rage against us more. He's now a drug addict and I haven't had any contact with him in over a year. Serious lack of compatibility, both my mom and older brother tend to drink and smoke, a lot. I am abstemious and I have never had a cigarette in my life, neither do I want to. My mom really never supported me while I was in high school. Actually, she was very irresponsible whenever I needed something and seemed like she always tried to bring me down if the opportunity presented itself. I left them to live with my grandparents at another country merely because my mom sucks at parenting, causing me to become very introverted and insecure about not having a good relationship with them, unlike all of my classmates, which sustained very good relationships with their parents/siblings. I understand that. I haven't spoken to my mother and family in 5 years and still get irked or triggered when people say you have to love your family because they love you. It gets really hard on Mother's Day or her birthday because the small moments that were decent eat at me sometimes. Still talk to my mother but sparsely because we're just not chatty people. Don't talk to my cousin at all. In fact, my mom sent my cousin to check on me when I was in the hospital, because my mom doesn't live in my area, and I wouldn't let her in to see me, but then she made herself my emergency contact and my ex-boyfriend made them change it all back to him. After all the caca she has done to me, I don't consider that woman my family at all. After her mother died, she decided to say some horrible things to me, so I said some horrible things back and she responded, but I have no idea what she said because that same ex, wasn't at the time, read it and said that I shouldn't know and he would never tell me. I haven't talked to my aunt in years. She tossed the whole family aside for a convicted felon half her age. She met him while he was still in jail, tossed aside her only kid for this guy, cawed all over my mom's hospitality and help when she left him, and didn't show up for her own father's funeral. Have you ever stopped talking to a family member? If you have, you are welcome to share your story down below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Have a blessed day.